Fast food is everywhere. You pass by it on your way to work, you see it in ads while scrolling through your phone, and chances are, you've eaten it this week, maybe even today. But have you ever stopped to wonder how something so simple, so familiar, and so convenient became one of the most powerful forces shaping our health, our habits, and even our biology? This video isn't about demonizing fast food or shaming choices. It's about lifting the curtain, because behind every perfectly salted fry and flame-grilled burger is a multi-billion-dollar industry that has spent decades learning how to hook you and keep you coming back. We're going to break it down, step by step. From the birth of fast food to the way it hijacks your brain and body. We'll look at the science, the psychology, and most importantly, what you can actually do about it. Because the more you understand, the more power you have. Let's start from the beginning. Fast food didn't start as a villain. In fact, it began as a promise. Affordable, quick meals for hardworking families. It was the American dream, served with fries on the side. The year was 1921. In Wichita, Kansas, two entrepreneurs, Walter Anderson and Billy Ingram, opened the first White Castle. At the time, people were skeptical about hamburgers. A book called The Jungle had exposed horrifying practices in the meat industry, and ground beef had a bad reputation. White Castle set out to change that. They built their kitchens to be clean, efficient, and visible to customers. Transparency was part of the marketing. People could see their food being prepared, and that built trust. Within a year, the chain began expanding. The model was simple: consistency, speed, and a short menu. It worked. By the 1940s and 50s, fast food had taken root in American culture. Drive-ins popped up along newly built highways. Families could grab a meal without leaving their cars. Then came the real game changer. In 1948, the McDonald brothers reimagined the restaurant business. They eliminated car hops and created a fully automated kitchen line. Each station had a single function, and every process was timed to perfection. It was the birth of what we now call the speedy service system. Ray Kroc saw the potential. He partnered with the McDonald brothers and scaled the brand nationwide. Golden arches became icons. Soon, competitors like Burger King, Wendy's, and KFC followed, each adding their own twist to the model. By the 1970s, fast food was no longer a novelty. It was a staple. The drive-thru became the new standard. Menus grew. So did portion sizes. So did profits. And somewhere along the way, something changed. What began as a convenience turned into a habit. And that habit? It was no accident. Fast food was no longer just food. It was engineered experience. Companies weren't just trying to serve you, they were trying to hook you. And they got good at it, really good. In the next section, we'll explore how your brain responds the moment fast food hits your tongue, and why, from that first bite, you're already in deeper than you think. Spoiler alert, your taste buds aren't the only ones being targeted. How fast food hijacks your brain. The moment fast food touches your tongue, the game begins. It starts with flavor, but not just any flavor. This is precision-engineered pleasure. A wave of salt, sugar, and fat lights up your brain like fireworks. You might feel a sudden sense of joy, relaxation, or even euphoria. That's not just because you're hungry. It's because your brain's reward system has been activated. Deep inside your brain, a chemical called dopamine is released. Dopamine isn't just the feel-good chemical. It's the neurotransmitter responsible for motivation and learning. It's what tells your brain, hey, whatever just happened, let's do that again. And fast food knows how to hit that dopamine switch better than almost anything else in your daily life. You see, this reaction isn't a side effect. It's the goal. Fast food companies work with food scientists, chemists, and mathematicians to develop what's called the bliss point, the exact combination of salt, sugar, and fat that maximizes pleasure. It's been tested, calculated, and optimized not to nourish you, but to make you want more. Take the flavor of a burger. That smoky, beefy taste isn't just coming from the grill. It's often made from natural flavor extracts designed to mimic and enhance meatiness. The cheese? Engineered for melt and stretch. The sauces? Balanced perfectly between sweet, tangy, and salty to keep your brain stimulated with every bite. Even the crunch of the lettuce or the fizz of your soda is part of the experience, activating your senses in different ways to keep the dopamine flowing. And here's the first hook. Dopamine doesn't just make food taste good. It makes habits stick. Every time you eat fast food, your brain records that as a pleasurable memory. The next time you feel hungry, tired, stressed, or even bored, your brain knows exactly where to turn for comfort. It's the same mechanism behind addictive behaviors. You're not just remembering how good it tasted, you're remembering how it made you feel. And your brain wants to feel that again. That's why fast food cravings are so powerful. They're emotional. They're learned, they're wired into your brain's survival system. But the influence doesn't stop at taste. Even the colors and branding are part of the psychological playbook. Studies show that red and yellow stimulate appetite and speed of eating. Think McDonald's, In-N-Out, Five Guys, Pizza Hut. They're not using those colors by accident. It's about visual dopamine. Add in nostalgia, maybe a childhood memory of a Happy Meal or a family trip through the drive-thru, and that emotional connection becomes even stronger. Fast food taps into the deepest parts of your psychology to make you associate it with comfort, ease, and reward. And just when you think you're making your own decisions, there's hook number 2. They've already reduced every barrier to saying yes. From loyalty apps that offer rewards just for coming back, to limited time deals, simple menus, and convenient drive-thrus, it's all designed to eliminate friction. The easier it is to get fast food, the harder it becomes to say no. But here's where things get really interesting. You might think, okay, so I eat fast food sometimes. I enjoy it. What's the big deal? The big deal is what happens next. Not just in your brain, but in your body. Because while your reward system is celebrating, your digestive system is scrambling. And the chain reaction that begins after that first bite, it's more intense and more damaging than most people ever realize. In the next section, we're going minute by minute through your body after a fast food meal. From the first chew to the final stages of digestion, you're about to see exactly how your favorite burger turns into a metabolic time bomb. And trust me, what happens after 45 minutes will surprise you. Minute by minute, what happens inside your body? You've ordered your meal. Maybe it's a burger, fries, and a soda. You take that first bite. It's hot, salty, perfectly crisp, and you feel good, really good. But what's happening inside your body? Let's break it down. 0 to 5 minutes. The moment the food touches your tongue, your body springs into action. Taste buds send signals to your brain, triggering the release of dopamine. You feel rewarded, satisfied, even comforted. Your parasympathetic nervous system activates, signaling your body that it's time to rest and digest. This is when you're most vulnerable. You're not just enjoying your food, you're reinforcing a habit. Your brain is learning to associate that taste and texture with pleasure and emotional comfort. 5 to 15 minutes. Now the digestion process kicks in. Fast food is designed to be broken down quickly. Refined carbohydrates from the bun and fries start entering your bloodstream almost immediately as glucose. Your blood sugar begins to rise. If you're drinking soda, the sugar in that hits even faster thanks to the liquid form and the absence of fiber. Your pancreas reacts by releasing insulin, the hormone responsible for processing glucose and storing excess as fat. If you're not physically active, and let's face it, most people aren't doing a marathon after lunch, your body stores that energy, often in your belly, liver, and arteries. 15 to 30 minutes. The full flood of glucose and insulin is now in effect. You may feel a spike in energy, a mini sugar high, but it's deceptive. Because without physical activity to use up that energy, your body is already shifting into fat storage mode. This is also the point where your digestive system starts dealing with the fats in your meal. These aren't simple, natural fats. They're often trans fats and highly processed seed oils, ingredients that contribute to inflammation, artery stiffness, and long-term metabolic damage. 30 to 60 minutes. Now, things start to shift. Your blood sugar begins to drop fast. Why? Because the spike was unnatural, too high, too fast, and now your insulin is overcorrecting. This crash triggers a new wave of sensations: hunger, irritability, brain fog, shakiness, even nausea. Despite having consumed more than enough calories, your body thinks it needs more food. That's why you might find yourself craving something sweet again, or thinking about your next snack an hour later. The crash creates a loop. And if you respond to that crash with more fast food, the cycle deepens. 1 to 4 hours. Your body is still trying to process the heavy fats and oils. A typical fast food meal can contain as much as 100% of your recommended daily saturated fat intake, or more. These fats move slowly through your digestive system and can sit in your stomach for hours, especially when combined with thick sauces, processed cheese, and red meat. Meanwhile, your arteries are already reacting. In one study, participants who ate fries experienced significant arterial constriction just hours after their meal. Before the fries, their arteries dilated normally, expanding by 7% to allow healthy blood flow. After the fries, less than 1%. That's a near immediate impact on cardiovascular function. You may not feel it now, but over time, this increases your risk of heart attack and stroke, and that's from just one meal per week. 12 to 36 hours. Some ingredients digest painfully slow, or not at all. Fillers, additives, and synthetic compounds like dimethylpolysiloxane, used in fryers to prevent oil splatter, can linger in your system. Others, like artificial colors and preservatives, bypass your normal digestion completely. And here's the twist: your immune system reacts to these compounds the same way it responds to infection. In one study, mice fed a high-fat, low-fiber fast food diet developed a persistent inflammatory response, one that rewired their DNA, keeping their immune systems in a heightened state of alert, even after switching back to healthy food. That's not just inflammation, it's epigenetic damage. And here comes hook number 3. The damage isn't just temporary, it may actually change who you are at a cellular level. So next time you're wondering why fast food feels good for a moment, but leaves you drained or bloated soon after, it's not in your head. Your body is literally overwhelmed. And yet, despite knowing all of this, millions of people eat fast food daily. Why? Because it's easy, it's everywhere, and it's cheap. But is it really cheap? Now we are going to discover the real cost of fast food and the systems that make unhealthy food more accessible than healthy choices. You're about to see why this problem isn't just personal, it's structural. The hidden ingredients they don't want you to know about. By now, you've seen how fast food hijacks your brain and disrupts your body. But what if we told you that the most dangerous parts of the meal aren't the ones you can taste? Behind the bold flavors, melty cheese, and crispy textures is a hidden world of chemical engineering. These aren't ingredients your grandmother would recognize. Many aren't even technically food, and most of them, you'd never spot them on the menu. Let's start with one of the most misunderstood items in your meal: natural flavors. Sounds wholesome, right? In reality, natural flavors can be derived from anything found in nature, including animal byproducts, and then processed in labs to produce enhanced aromas or intensified tastes. These are added to compensate for the fact that many fast food ingredients are bland, low quality, and over-processed. Your beef burger might only contain a small percentage of actual high-grade meat, but a few drops of synthetic grilled beef flavor can fool your brain into thinking it's the juiciest thing you've ever eaten. Then we get into the real science project: fillers and binders. Let's take a look at the beloved chicken nugget. Is there chicken in it? Sure, probably. But you're also likely eating a mix of corn flour, modified starches, and texturizers that hold the shape, stretch the meat, and reduce production cost. You might also be consuming TBHQ, a synthetic antioxidant derived from petroleum, used to extend shelf life. Too much TBHQ has been linked to liver enlargement, convulsions, and, in animal studies, stomach tumors. And then there's dimethylpolysiloxane, a name that sounds more like something you'd find in a chemistry lab than a deep fryer. This compound is used in fryers to reduce oil, foaming, and splattering. But it's also a common ingredient in shampoo, skin creams, and even silly putty. Its inclusion in fast food isn't illegal. In fact, it's FDA approved in small amounts. But ask yourself, why is a compound used in industrial lubricants ending up in your fries? Then we have preservatives like calcium propionate and sodium benzoate, which inhibit mold and bacterial growth. These are useful for keeping food fresh during long storage and transport, but they also disrupt your gut microbiome and may interfere with normal hormone function. Some studies even suggest links to hyperactivity in children. And we can't forget the sweeteners, because even if you're not eating dessert, you're still probably getting a massive dose of sugar. That signature soda? A 32-ounce serving can contain up to 74 grams of sugar. That's more than 18 teaspoons. Most of that sugar comes in the form of high fructose corn syrup, which has been linked to increased visceral fat, liver damage, insulin resistance, and systemic inflammation. But here's the key. It's not just that these ingredients are unhealthy, it's that you're not being told the truth. Fast food companies aren't obligated to list every additive in plain sight. Menu boards don't show you what's behind the taste, and marketing campaigns are designed to distract you with convenience, fun, and nostalgia, not inform you about your health. That's where the real issue lies, because when you don't have the full picture, how can you make a real choice? And here comes the kicker. It's not just about your taste buds or your digestion, it's about your long-term biology. In a 2018 study, mice were fed a typical fast food diet, high in sugar and fat, low in fiber. Within just a few weeks, their immune systems responded as if they were fighting off an infection. Researchers discovered that this fast food inflammation triggered epigenetic changes, shifts in how genes are expressed. Even after returning to a healthy diet, the mice's immune systems remained overly aggressive. In other words, the fast food didn't just make them sick, it changed them. Let's pause on that for a moment. This is food that tastes good for minutes, but potentially alters your body for years. Now, that doesn't mean one burger will ruin your health. And this isn't about fear-mongering. Occasional indulgence is part of life, but if these meals are a regular part of your routine, and for many people they are, you deserve to know what you're actually eating. So it's not just what's in the food, it's what's behind it. The chemistry, the marketing, the manipulation, but maybe the most powerful ingredient of all? Accessibility. Because for millions of people, fast food isn't just a choice, it's the only choice. It's what's close, it's what's cheap, it's what fits into a lunch break or a tight budget. But here's the uncomfortable truth. That cheap meal, it's not as affordable as it seems. And healthy food, it's not as accessible as it should be. This isn't just about willpower or personal responsibility anymore. This is about a system that makes bad food the easiest food. Let's talk about how we got here and what it's really costing us, why it's so cheap, and why that's misleading. We're told fast food is cheap, and on the surface, it looks that way. A burger for $2, a full meal for $6. It's quick, filling, and affordable. Compare that to grocery shopping, fresh produce, proteins, a full cart, and it's easy to see why so many people choose fast food. But that low price tag hides some very real costs. For starters, many of the ingredients used, corn, soy, wheat, are heavily subsidized by the government. Those subsidies, paid by taxpayers, help keep fast food cheap, so you're funding it at the register and through your taxes. Then there's the cost to your health. Obesity, diabetes, heart disease. These aren't rare. They're consequences, and treating them costs billions. Add to that the problem of food deserts, areas with little or no access to fresh, affordable food. In many communities, fast food is easier to reach than a grocery store, and even where stores exist, healthy food is often too expensive. It's not about laziness, it's about access. And here's the twist. Many companies profiting off junk food also own the diet brands promising to fix the damage. Jenny Craig, for example, was once owned by Nestlé, maker of candy bars, frozen meals, and soda. So the same companies sell you the food that leads to the problem, and then sell you the solution, knowing most people will fail and come back for more. In fact, 95% of people who join commercial diet programs regain the weight within 2 years. But that's the business model. If you succeed, they lose a customer. If you don't, you stay in the loop. So yes, fast food seems cheap, but the system around it is anything but fair. It's structured to keep you coming back, to offer the illusion of choice, to blame the individual, when the truth is, many people are doing the best they can with the options they've been given. And all of this leads to a crucial question. How do you break that cycle? Let's talk about that next. The systemic trap, food deserts, and the weight loss industry. If you've ever felt like the entire system is working against you when it comes to eating well, you're not wrong. We often talk about health as if it's just about personal choices. Eat better, exercise more, have more willpower. But that mindset ignores a much bigger reality. For millions of people, those choices don't really exist. Let's start with food deserts. A food desert is a place where healthy, affordable food is physically hard to access. In urban areas, that might mean no grocery store within a mile. In rural towns, the nearest one could be 10 or even 20 miles away. Without reliable transportation, that makes eating fresh food extremely difficult. Now compare that to fast food. The longest distance between 2 McDonald's in the US? Just 120 miles. Most people live within a few minutes of multiple fast food chains. They're open late, easy to get to, and always consistent. Even if a grocery store is nearby, affordability becomes the next wall. Healthy food, especially organic, is often priced out of reach. In 2015, Whole Foods was investigated for marking up products 10 to 20% higher than other stores. That kind of difference matters if you're on a tight budget. Fast food, by contrast, is predictable. You know your kids will eat it. You don't have to cook after working long hours. It's not about laziness, it's about survival. But here's where things take another turn. When people feel the effects of poor nutrition, weight gain, fatigue, high blood pressure, they often turn to dieting programs, and those too are part of the trap. Weight Watchers, Nutrisystem, Jenny Craig, they promise transformation. They show smiling success stories. But what they don't often tell you is that 95% of people who sign up for these programs gain the weight back within 2 years. And here's the kicker. Some of these diet companies are owned by the very corporations that sell the junk food. Jenny Craig was previously owned by Nestlé, the same company that sells candy bars, frozen pizza, and soda. Think about that. One company profits when you eat poorly, then profits again when you try to lose the weight. It's not a health strategy, it's a business model. And that model works best when you fail, because if you succeed, you stop paying. But if you fail, you stay in the loop, the customer for life. So what's really going on here? You've got a system that makes junk food more accessible than groceries, a society that blames you for the outcomes, and an industry waiting to sell you hope, knowing full well you'll likely come back again. It's not just broken, it's profitable by design. But if the system is rigged, how do you escape it? That's what we'll tackle next, because breaking out of this cycle is possible, but it starts with changing how we think about food, health, and success. How to break the cycle without being perfect. Let's be honest, after everything we've covered, it can feel overwhelming. The food system is built to steer you toward cheap, addictive, unhealthy options. Your brain is being manipulated, your body is paying the price, and the industry profits at every step of the journey, from your first bite to your last failed diet. So what do you do with that? The good news is, breaking out of this cycle doesn't require perfection. You don't need to eat clean 100% of the time. You don't need to spend hours in the gym or survive on salad and smoothies. The goal isn't to be flawless, it's to be aware. Because when you understand why you're being pulled towards certain foods, you can start to push back. You can take back control. The first step? Stop thinking of food as just fuel or just calories. We've been taught to look at meals in numbers. 300 calories, 10 grams of fat, 20 grams of sugar. But food is more than math. It's information. It tells your body how to feel, how to function, how to repair, grow, and adapt. An 800-calorie fast food meal filled with seed oils, processed meat, and sugar tells your body. Store fat, raise inflammation, spike insulin. An 800-calorie meal with salmon, brown rice, and vegetables, that tells your body. Stay energized, build muscle, fight disease. The number might be the same, but the impact couldn't be more different. So instead of asking, how many calories is this? Try asking, how will I feel after eating this? That question is where the shift begins. You also don't have to overhaul everything overnight. Change works best when it's sustainable. If you eat fast food 5 times a week, start by cutting back to 3. Then cook once or twice at home, even if it's something simple. Scrambled eggs, frozen veggies with rice, a rotisserie chicken from the grocery store. Progress doesn't have to be Pinterest-worthy. It just has to be real. And here's something that might surprise you. You don't have to give up fast food entirely. There's room for indulgence. There's room for comfort food. But the key is not to let fast food be the default, the fallback, or the emotional crutch. Because here's the thing, food isn't just fuel, it's also emotional. It's part of how we celebrate, connect, cope, and recover. That's okay. But when we start to understand why we're reaching for certain things, when we're sad, tired, lonely, or bored, that's when we can start building healthier coping strategies too. Get moving, even if it's just a walk around the block. Talk to someone when you're feeling overwhelmed. Build meals around food you actually like, instead of what you think you should eat. If you hate kale, don't eat kale. If you like roasted carrots, or sautéed mushrooms, or mangoes, or black beans, start there. Because here's the truth. Any eating plan you can't stick to is a bad plan. It doesn't matter how healthy it looks on paper. What matters is that it works for you, in your life, with your schedule, your budget, your background. And let's not forget, your health is not just about weight. It's about how you feel, how you move, how clearly you think, how much energy you have. If you're taking small steps that improve those things, you're doing it right, even if you're not losing pounds every week. The system may be designed to make you fail, but you are not broken. You're operating in a world that makes unhealthy choices cheap, easy, and convenient, and makes healthy choices confusing, expensive, and overwhelming. But even in that world, small, consistent actions still matter. They build, they stack, they shift momentum. You don't have to be perfect, you just have to keep going. Because once you start asking the right questions about your food, your health, your habits, you begin to see through the trap. And when you can see the trap clearly, that's when you finally have a real chance to escape it. If this opened your eyes or made you think differently about the food we eat, consider sharing it with someone who needs to hear it too. And if you want more content like this, real talk, backed by science, hit subscribe. We've got a lot more coming.